Welcome back to Echo Base Network. I am the coach, and Nick, we got big news. Temuera Morrison just had an interview with the New York Times, and the script has been released. Temuera Morrison shoots on playing Boba Fett. Let's dive right in. All right, Nick, the article starts with the first question. They ask, how long have you been awaiting your opportunity to return to the Star Wars series? And Temuera Morrison answers, there was a lot of stuff online about a possible Star Wars bounty hunter film, and then I was watching all the new Star Wars movies coming out, wondering if they were ever going to do anything with Jango Fett. My agent and I had a number of discussions. When are they going to call me? But then I kept forgetting about it. In this day and age, they have a number of options. They could have called other people to play the part. They can go with a fresh face. They could have called The Rock. I felt so grateful that after all this time, something came to be.
They could have called The Rock. That would have been a terrible casting for Boba Fett. Absolutely terrible. Yeah. Temuera Morrison, of course, he's got his connection with the prequels, but his current, in my opinion, his current
status,
his current body status is not similar to the Boba Fett we got in the OT. Jeremy Bulloch was Boba Fett. Of course, he's way too old to play that character now. But if we could have got somebody that a really good actor who could just be in a suit, of course they won't do any of the talking. I would have been fine with his voice performance of the character, but had somebody else in the actual suit. All in all, it's kind of nitpicky stuff. Either way, it doesn't really make me hate it or dislike it too terribly much to where I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. This is stupid.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm fine with him coming back, but I definitely think he needs to drop a couple LBs.
Okay, well, maybe not. But the article continues, what happened when you finally got the call that the series creator Jon Favreau and executive producer Dave Filoni wanted to meet with you? And Temuera Morrison answers, I wasn't even quite sure what The Mandalorian was about, but I kind of knew that Jango and Boba had their own Mandalorian history. At the time, I was in Los Angeles meeting on another film, so I was pleasantly surprised to get the call. I actually got to the meeting quite early. I was so excited I got there about 2 hours early, and there were conceptual drawings on the wall. I saw an image that looked like me, and I said, I'm sure that's me. But even then, I didn't want to get too excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's happy to return to the role. But like I said in our other videos, when he popped on screen, it almost felt like a different Boba Fett from the original trilogy. But again, just another nitpick thing, not anything that's turning me off of it too much.
Yeah, but I definitely think he was excited. He had to have felt very disconnected from the Star Wars community, and then bam, he's back in it, and it's kind of awesome that he's sharing this experience with us.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's thrilled to be in the show and stuff, and reprising the role. Well, he's reprising a Star Wars role. He was never Boba Fett, but right. He's playing him now, and I'm sure he's
well. Actually, he was Boba Fett.
Well, he voiced him in the special edition, which
but but Temuera Morrison, he was cloned.
Yeah.
So he could be Cody, he could be Rex, he could be all of them.
Yeah, he really could.
All right, so the article continues. Did they talk about his being a different, more seasoned Boba Fett than we saw in the early Star Wars films? And this is kind of what you were talking about just a moment ago, Nick. Temuera Morrison says, yes, when we find Boba, he's well-worn and he's been through a lot. He's a survivor and he's weathered. Now it was time to find out more about what makes Boba tick. Is he more than just a simple man trying to make his way through the galaxy? Is he tired of all the fighting? Is he tired of all the killing? The one thing I can relate to is I'm quite a mature man now, and things always change. Sometime you're in Hollywood in all the magazines and newspapers, and sometimes you end up in the fish and chip shop in New Zealand where all the old magazines and papers go. You're old news." And then he starts laughing.
Yeah, it's definitely a different character because in the OT, Boba Fett was always considered one of the anti-hero / villains, in the Boba Fett that we got in the last episode seemed more like a good guy, which was definitely a change. I hope they dive into that a little bit more moving forward, and they give some explanation and some background to that, because I'm guessing they're pulling from the Bounty Hunters book, where it goes into more character depth for Boba Fett, which a lot of that's talked about, and we get a lot of that character in this last episode than we ever saw in the original trilogy. So I'm hoping that they dive into that and touch on that a little bit more moving forward.
Absolutely. So the New York Times says, "What did you discuss with them in that meeting?" And again, it's talking about Favreau and Filoni. And Temuera Morrison says, "I was just listening. I wasn't discussing anything. I'm just nodding, going, yes, yes. Obviously, they had their ideas about what they wanted to do, and they must have told me that they wanted me to play the role again, but I was so nervous that some of it was just going straight over my head. I was just going, whoa, this is great. It wasn't until I got back in the car after the meeting that I went, is this actually going to happen? But as you saw, it happened. All right."
Yeah, I'm sure honestly, they could have told him that he's going to be, fishing on a boat and, doing whatever, and he would have been just as excited. So,
Right.
I'm sure he's just happy to be getting the work and being back involved in something that's big like Star Wars. So I'm sure they could have said whatever, and he would have still been on board.
Yep, absolutely. The Times continue, "Did your makeup and costume also help you find the character?" And Temuera Morrison says, "I was doing that kind of background work. What's this guy going to look like? What's he going to sound like? And while they're applying makeup, I'm going, well, here he is. We did quite a number of makeup tests, and I worked closely with the makeup artist Brian Sipe. When I saw some of the scars on my face, I thought, well, maybe he does talk a little bit gravely. Maybe his vocal cords have been affected as well. Then you put the costume on and it gives you a sense of power. The costume makes you feel like Superman. When I put the armor on for the first time, it just felt right."
Yeah, I'm sure the scars and stuff have something to do with his escape from the Sarlacc pit, I'm guessing, or maybe something before that. We saw him in the prequels as a kid, and he kind of, who knows when he took up the role of Boba Fett, the bounty hunter, and really started going on these adventures, trying to capture these people and, for money and whatnot. So just another thing that I hope they dive into a little bit more moving forward. And I'm also curious to see how often he takes his helmet off. Mando doesn't take his off. We've only seen him take it off once, and it was in front of a droid. So and Boba Fett doesn't have that same concept of not removing his helmet. So I'm curious how often we're going to see him without the helmet on.
I don't think we'll see him without it off very often. With it off, I think he'll have it on most of the time. But
I hope so.
I'm speculating.
Yeah.
So Temuera Morrison gave a great article, but we kind of want to stick with the parts about Mandalorian and Boba Fett. So the last three questions that the Times asked gets us back on track with Boba Fett. They say, "I'm sorry that you're going to get this question a lot, but the tragedy doesn't address how Boba Fett survived his encounter with the Sarlacc. Has that been explained to you, and do you know how the character stayed alive?" And Temuera Morrison says, "No, I don't. There's quite a bit of loose ends, and I'm not one of those guys that knows too much about the actual history. The fans of Star Wars, they have better knowledge of it. What's happened? How can he still be alive? I thought he was stuck in this place. I can find out more on the internet."
Yeah, that's definitely something that they're going to have to explain. People want to know how he escaped the Sarlacc pit, and I'll even take it a bit of a step further. I actually want to see it. I want to see the destruction and the debris of the sail barge and that whole scene, and see how he ended up escaping the Sarlacc pit. Now, from the books and stuff, I believe the Sarlacc pit spit him out.
But that's legend.
Yeah, but
Right.
they are pulling a lot from that.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they're going to go there, and that's how they're going to explain it. Instead of him actually escaping, he was just spit out, because of all his armor.
All of that Beskar. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we shall see. They continue. Has there been any talk of your returning as Boba Fett, whether on The Mandalorian or other Star Wars projects, even a series of his own? Temuera Morrison says, I'm just going to have to wait and see. I think a lot of it depends on how things go with this season, but I don't really know. I wanted to bring everything I had to that episode and give them a glimmer of what I can offer. There's room for this to go someplace. I hope I'm going to be included.
I don't think he really answered the question there. I think he kind of dodged it a little bit. I'm just going to have to wait and see. Like, that's kind of seems to me like we're going to have to. It's obviously he's saying nothing is official, written in stone. But he did not answer the question of, has there been any talk of you returning in other projects and series? So I'm sure he probably knows a little bit more than what he said, because that seemed like a little bit of a dodge to me.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna decipher it a little bit differently. Boba Fett code. What my armor's telling me, Nick, is that he didn't say no. And because he didn't say no, the answer is obviously right here, yes. Yeah. They have definitely talked about it. And another thing is, he didn't say we have to see how this episode went. He dropped it. He said we have to wait and see how this season goes.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to have a big role in the next 2 episodes to finish this season. I mean, in the next episode, we should start with Mando on board Slave One.
Yeah.
So he's got a big part in this series or this season finale coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go.
And just a little bit of a off-topic thing there. I wonder how Disney is going to handle the name of Boba Fett's ship, Slave One. Are they going to go complete freaking identity politics, SJW, woke culture of, well, we can't have a ship called Slave.
Yeah.
That's the name of a ship. I guarantee you there's no mention of the name of his ship in his own show or this show ever. I'm calling it right now.
Okay. Well, let's get back to the article. You're probably right on that. So the last question that they get, obviously, they're going to go somewhere for every fan, I guess. They say, are you hoping to team up with Baby Yoda at some point? And Temuera Morrison says, Baby Yoda is probably the biggest actor in Hollywood at the moment, but I never got to work with him very closely or with the people who move him around. I always use him in a not so good way as bait, but hopefully I'll get to meet him and we can have a little bonding session.
That kind of goes to show that everybody's still stuck on the Baby Yoda name. The Grogu thing is not really quite sticking yet.
Yeah, it is.
Because which eventually I'm sure it will, but everybody has been calling him Baby Yoda for over a year now.
Yep.
So, when you're in a habit of doing something, it takes some time to kind of break that habit. So, yeah,
absolutely.
That's funny.
A lot of people are like, that's Baby Yoda. I'm not calling it Grogu.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how Baby Yoda's going to react to Boba Fett, because he's, of course, has similar Mandalorian gear on. I mean, I'm sure he's going to see him as, without even knowing him, see him as ally.
Right. Yep.
So
we shall see. Well, guys, we hope that you enjoyed this interview with Temuera Morrison. We're going to continue to watch all things Star Wars and bring it to you right here at Echo Base Network. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment below. Let us know what you think about this article. And as always, you are Echo Base Network, and we are out.
and we will see you guys on the next video.